Hey, it's Jordan. Delighted to be joined by old friend Jimmy Dore, who has been one of the most consistent people out there against both parties, but specifically the supposedly working class party, the Democratic Party. Jimmy, can I ask you, I'm hearing rumors that you're going to be named Neera Tanden's chief of staff. Is this accurate?
You know what? I don't want to jinx it. But yes, that is supposed to happen. I'm going to launch a Twitter campaign for her, and that's isn't it something that someone in Joe Biden's campaign used to tweet me or whatever they call that? But anyway, that's. I was just wondering, what would it feel like if Joe Biden took a literal piss right in the progressive face, and he did it? It was like, oh my God, he did it. Isn't that something? So I mean. This is what people don't realize, is that the Democrats, like the corporate Democrats, the liberals is what I call them, right? The Joe Bidens, the Neera Tandens, the Hillary Clintons, they hate progressives way more than Republicans hate progressives. So that's the thing progressives don't understand. And so people keep talking about Jordan, and I'm glad you invited me on your show, because I have this idea, because the progressives, they get power or they get elected and then they say we don't have any power, right? Which they don't, but they do have some leverage, right? So right now they have to vote for Nancy Pelosi to be speaker again, right? So we've got at least with Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman, and so there's got to be at least 7, 8, 9 really progressive members. You need less than a dozen progressives to tell Nancy Pelosi, I'm withholding my vote for you as speaker unless you promise to bring Medicare for all for a vote on the floor, because it will win. So that's what she has to do. And if she doesn't do that, then we're going to withhold your vote. And if you want to risk Kevin McCarthy becoming speaker, well, that's on your head, because we're willing to play hardball. So that's what they could do right now. No one else is. Don't believe me. They've thought of this, Jordan. So I'm asking everyone to help push them into doing this. Everybody in the squad, Ro Khanna, anybody who's a progressive, who's elected, right, who's in the House. Withhold this is the only leverage you have. This is the moment. And you know, the Tea Party caucus would have done this. Those Freedom Party caucus people, they would do this. And so this is when the progressives can flex their muscle. This is when they have a little bit of leverage. And right now, what they need to do, because they have to vote for Nancy Pelosi when they all get sworn in, they have to say, Nancy, we're not voting for you. I'm sorry, that's sexist. You can't use her first name. Speaker Pelosi, we are going to withhold our vote. It's up to you, because this is popular with 9 out of 10 Democrats. And the only reason you're not bringing it up for a vote is because of obvious corruption. And we need to run on this. And so we're going to bring it up for a vote. And if you don't want to let this come up for a vote, then you're going to lose your speakership. And that's on Nancy Pelosi. That's how you play this game. And so I hope that other people would pick up this message. You know, I would love to eat, because I've said about the squad, you know this, that I think it's worse to have progressives inside the Democratic Party, because it gives the false impression that the Democratic Party is actually an opposition party, when the Democrats who control the party actually hate progressives more than Republicans do. So I'd love to eat my words and say that it's a fool's errand to have a progressive run inside the Democratic Party, which is what I have been saying. So and you know me, I'm trying to work on a third party with Nick Braun. I mean, Nick Braun is working on it. I'm just doing whatever I can to help. And so those are my solutions, right? But right now, a big solution is we need the progressives who actually have leverage over Nancy Pelosi right now to say, you bring Medicare for all. It's popular with Republicans, for F's sake. The majority of Trump voters want Medicare for all. So if they don't do that, they can do this. So I'm urging them to do it. And if they don't do this, it's got to be over for people thinking progressives are going to do anything except capitulate inside the Democratic Party. But my fingers are crossed, and I'm urging all the other YouTubers who are progressives to get behind this message. And I'm asking you, Jordan, I would hope that you would join me in doing this. And what I can't see a downside for the progressives in Congress doing this. Can you?
I actually agree with you. And the key word you said was leverage. In the past, I don't think progressives have had the leverage. I know you and I probably disagree on certain instances, but here, Democrats have narrowed. Their lead in the House has narrowed. So even though, obviously the Progressive Caucus, whatever, maybe it's between 10 and 15 people, that's going to be key in a lot of votes, not just getting Medicare for all voted on, but Biden cabinet positions. You know, they'll go through committees too in the House, and other things. And the Progressive Caucus, which now includes Bowman, Cori Bush, a few others, they have the power, because if they say no with the Republicans, Nancy Pelosi ain't passing anything.
Well, she can't even become speaker without them. So right. You're right. You're right. They didn't have leverage. They have it now because Nancy Pelosi is such a horrible leader that she lost seats in the House under Donald Trump. That's how bad and corrupt the Democrats are. That's how little they're offering people. So, and by the way, everybody who ran on Medicare for all, as AOC points out, won their election. And it was the quote-unquote moderates. There's nothing moderate, by the way, about denying people health care in the middle of a pandemic. There's nothing moderate about that. That's radical. What's not radical? Medicare for all. That's how they everywhere. They have it in Barbados. They have it in Rwanda. They have it in Russia. They have it in Israel, Canada, France. They have it everywhere. The place that they don't have it is here. That's what's radical. The radical position is Nancy Pelosi's to stop Medicare for all. That's radical. We're normal.
And what do you think in terms of where the fine line is? Because I know you were very harsh on Bernie, AOC, a lot of these others for not trying to block the CARES Act.
Right.
But on the other end, it was a gigantic sandwich. You call it biggest upward transfer of wealth in modern history. I agree. But on the other hand, it seems to me Bernie could have voted against it, but if they would have blocked it, that's a delay in the only good thing, which was the $600 a week unemployment and the stimulus checks. It was not enough, but where is the fine line between standing your ground and fighting now versus, if you block things, people are going to suffer?
So, yes, I make the case that what Bernie Sanders and the progressives should have been doing was alerting people that there was a big theft coming, that there was a big upward transfer of wealth coming, and that the CARES Act didn't have anything in it for them, including a UBI or health care during the middle of a deadly pandemic. But what did it include? $5 trillion upward transfer of wealth. So what Bernie Sanders should have did, and what all the progressives should have did, it happened so fast. It's the shock doctrine, that, Jordan, you know that.
Yeah.
And so what took them months before, in 2008, when Barack Obama was president, they got it done like in a week this time. And so what the CARES Act was the way Dylan Radigan explained it on my show, was that if the United States economy is a car, and your car breaks down on the side of the road and it needs help, what the United States government did when it showed up, it didn't give it more gas. It didn't put gas in the tank or fix the flat. It actually ripped the car radio out of it and still didn't fix the car. The car's still there. It just ripped out whatever it had. So what Bernie Sanders should have did was put a hold on it, warn people what was happening to make sure we got something, a health care, a UBI, or something in that bill. Those people, Nancy Pelosi said, whatever you think you're going to do later, or whatever you want to do, whatever you have a problem with in this bill, we are passing this now. That's what she said when Wall Street wanted their money. What did she say when actual people wanted their money? If Donald Trump wants his name on a check, that ain't going to happen. So what AOC said about the CARES Act was true, that that $1,200 payment and that unemployment insurance were crumbs. Those were crumbs. She was correct when she said that. The thing that she was incorrect was that was because of Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell. That was because also, just as guilty, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, who negotiated that bill. And the problem I had with Bernie Sanders was that he went out and gave a grandstanding speech for the unemployment insurance, and people then falsely thought that he did that to get us the unemployment insurance. That is not what happened. There was already a deal in place. Michael Bennett wrote that part of the unemployment insurance. It was already guaranteed to go through. Bernie gave a grandstanding speech. And then he bullshitted people into thinking that's what got us that, and that didn't happen. And so what is the point of voting for progressives if they go to, they're not, by the way, it would have passed if they voted against it, but it was 96-0. Right. Bernie Sanders voted against the Iraq war. Why not vote against the largest upward transfer of wealth in the history of human race? So you can warn people what's coming. Right now, there are thousands of people in food lines in Texas. There's people sleeping under bridges, on top of bridges here in frickin' Pasadena, California. And that's because the CARES Act didn't do anything to take care of people, and they got no plans to take care of people. So as Norman Solomon said about off the squad, what is the point of voting for progressives if they're going to vote to expand their surveillance state anyway? I say there is no point. What's the point of voting for them when they go there and they vote for the largest theft in the history of our country without getting you anything for it? That's when they had leverage. The oligarchs wanted their $5 trillion. That's when they had leverage. That's when they bent the knee to Nancy Pelosi. They did it on a voice vote. Only guy to ask for a recorded vote was Thomas Massie. Okay, so they don't even have the guts to stand by their vote. And now nobody, Jordan, nobody is holding their feet to the fire for that vote. In fact, they do the bullshit line of saying, oh, well, we had to get the unemployed, the $1,200 payment, and that was put there so they could say that while they gave $5 trillion to the richest people in the world. I know that. Dylan Radigan knows that. But you know what they also know is that no one's going to hold their feet to the fire because people took the bait. That the cheese in the trap was that $1,200 payment and the unemployed. That was the cheese in the trap. And right. Now it's all over. That $5 trillion went upward. It's over, and people are sleeping in the streets, in food lines, and unemployed. If you're in the upper 10% of wealth earners, you got no trouble. You probably got more free time than you ever had. But if you're not in that upper 10%, you're losing your job, you're losing your health care, you're treading water, and now they've got no leverage to get anything done ever. And they bull you about what they got you. So the least they should have did was warn everybody that there was a theft happening. They didn't do that. The most we got was AOC said that it was the Republicans' fault for giving us crumbs in this bill. That was as close as she was come. But of course, everyone knows the Democrats run the House. They couldn't pass the CARES Act unless Nancy Pelosi made that happen. Nancy Pelosi made that happen. She made it happen without a UBI. She made it happen without health care for people in the middle of a pandemic. She made it happen without any plans to help people with rent. She helped without any plans to help people with their mortgage. There's a foreclosure crisis coming. And the last time Joe Biden was in the White House, there was another foreclosure crisis. You know what his solution was? Kick 5.1 million families out of their house. I bet he's going to do the same thing.
Well, I said at the time, I mean, this is a grand bank robbery, and Nancy Pelosi's driving the getaway car. I mean, they're kind of in on it together. Maybe the Republicans were, opening the safe, but Pelosi was outside and she drove away. So I agree. I wanted to lastly ask you, you look a lot better in the last few years because of the Russian boogeyman. You were very frail, very nervous, scared. I understand, definitely a lot of therapy bills because of all this. Are you sleeping better now? Because obviously there's no Russian threat anymore. The Democrats have retaken the White House.
Isn't it great that the Democrats can run their Isn't it funny they blamed Russia for rigging the election when it was Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary Clinton who completely rigged the 2016 primary? I mean, that's why Debbie Wasserman Schultz had to step down. That's what Donna Brazil found out. There was a secret contract. The people who rigged the elections are Democrats. And who do they rig them against? Progressives. But yeah, I think, I don't know if you've...
it's just disappeared from discussion.
That just disappeared. It's amazing how it just went away. I thought Russia was all powerful. Turns out not. Hey, it's in my lifetime I saw McCarthyism come back from on the left, Cold War come back on the left. It's not, Russiagate came back from the left, and now pro-censorship is coming from the left. It's nuts, man. I don't know which way is up. That's why we need a third party. I think Nick Brana's People's Party, which is focused on economics, just like what you were talking about. It's not focused on quote unquote culture issues. It's focused on brass tacks policies that help workers, right? Medicare for all. That's the big thing. And we want to get money out of politics. That's it. You get money out of politics, we can at least have an honest discussion about policy. But with money in politics, that's what perverts everything, and you're never having an honest conversation.
Thank you for taking the time. Make sure, subscribe to Jimmy's show if you haven't. YouTube and all its has been messing with Jimmy, me, many others, unsubscribing people. They hide us in a cave. This is the censorship that he's talking about, and it's only going to get worse. So I appreciate you coming on, Jimmy.
Okay, I appreciate. Hey, what happened to Glenn Greenwald is not going to stop. Once Joe Biden starts his 2 new wars, at least he's going to start 2 new ones, and you start to report accurately on it, Jordan, they're going to censor you. And
by the way, I'm not hearing any chorus to pressure Joe Biden to reverse the likely extradition of Julian Assange. Biden likes to take credit for everything Obama did or didn't do. Well, Obama didn't prosecute Julian Assange, so maybe he should reverse that because he's already being psychologically and physically tortured now for a year.
I mean, the point is, Jordan, it's like it's going to come down to people like you and me and our other because the mainstream media is not going to do it. It's going to come down to us to actually keep pointing out to people, this is what they could be doing, this is what they should be doing. And what they could be doing right now is getting us to vote for Medicare for all. And if they don't do that, Jordan, doesn't that just kind of defeat the argument of trying to take over the Democratic Party? Because even once they get in there and they have leverage, they don't use it anyway.
Right now, I 100% agree. They have the leverage. They should be demanding. We're not just mindlessly voting for you, Nancy Pelosi. You're 80 years old. You've lost more than you've won over the last decade. So, yeah, we need... And you're not asking for passage. You're asking for a vote, for a debate.
Just a vote.
Yeah.
Just a vote.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.